Sometimes in Commander, cards can interact in such a powerful and synergistic way, they can help you achieve infinite power! Let's take a look today at some crazy new combos from Kaldheim for EDH, and the video starts right now.
Special thanks to our Patreon supporters who power our channel. Check out our Patreon for monthly giveaways, exclusive content, and even a starring role in our fan fight series. Link in the description below.
Hello and welcome to the day. Thank you for spending your time with us. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. I am Joel. We're going to talk about some crazy Kaldheim combos for Commander. That's a lot, Joel. Take it easy. Let's calm down. Before we do get into the video, though, if you would, go down there, hit that like button if you like the video by the end of it. Hit that dislike button if you don't. And let me lay the groundwork before we get started here. Now, what I don't need anybody doing is going down into the comments and tell me, oh, this will never happen. There's no way this could possibly happen. I understand that. We're living in magical fantasy land when we talk about infinite power. I just want to talk about some new cards from Kaldheim that are going to be really crazy if we can pull off some nuts combos in Commander. Let's look at these combos. First up is a combo starring Magda, Brazen, Outlaw, which is going to allow us whenever a dwarf you control becomes tapped to create a treasure token. Reckless Fireweaver says whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. This is starting to look pretty straightforward. Liquid Metal Coating, tap it, target permanent becomes an artifact in addition to its other types until end of turn. And Clock of Omens, which says tap 2 untapped artifacts you control, untap target artifact. So to get this one started, we need these 4 cards on the battlefield. First, we're going to tap Liquid Metal Coating, and that is going to turn Magda into an artifact in addition to its other types. Now we're going to tap Clock of Omens and Magda, which is an artifact, remember, to untap Magda. That is going to create us a treasure token. Yay, we got a treasure token from tapping the dwarf. Magda triggers, create that treasure token. Reckless Fireweaver triggers when that artifact enters the battlefield, dealing a damage to each opponent. We're going to then tap this treasure token and Magda, which is still an artifact, remember. That's going to create another treasure token. Yay! Now, the Reckless Fireweaver triggers again, 1 damage to each opponent, and we repeat this. Tap the treasure token. That's also, then we tap Magda. That's going to create another treasure token. The treasure token comes into the battlefield. Reckless Fireweaver deals a damage. We repeat this over and over again until we've burned our opponents to a crisp. Our next combo features War Chanter Scald, Thornbite Staff, and Ashnod's Altar. War Chanter Scald, whenever it becomes tapped, if it's enchanted or equipped, we create a 2/1 Berserker Dwarf creature token. Thornbite Staff, whatever it's equipped to, it gives that creature pay 2, tap it. It deals damage to a target creature or player, and whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play, untap this creature. And Ashnod's Altar lets us sacrifice creatures to add 2 colorless mana to our mana pool. So to get this combo started, we need these 3 cards on the battlefield. Thornbite Staff equipped to War Chanter Scald, and War Chanter Scald not summoning 6, so that we can activate the ability and get this combo rolling. I'm going to set the staff over here just so we can see it kind of in action, but we know the Scald has staff equipped to it. With 2 mana that we've got available, we pay 2 and tap the War Chanter Scald through Thornbite Staff and deal a damage to one of our opponents. When the Scald becomes tapped, because it's got Thornbite Staff equipped to it, the Scald is going to create a dwarf token. My program, for some reason, is not creating dwarf tokens currently, so we're going to create a spirit in its stead. But let's pretend, since we're in magical fantasy land, that this is a 2/1 dwarf. That 1 damage is going to an opponent. We sacrifice the spirit to Ashnod's Altar. That creates 2 colorless mana. Thornbite Staff triggers whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play. Untap this creature. Or Chanter Scald untaps, and we get to do it again. But now we have 2 mana from Ashnod's Altar floating. We use that 2 mana to activate Thornbite Staff, tapping the Scald, dealing a damage to one of our opponents, creating the dwarf token. Looks like a spirit, but that's a dwarf. Sacrifice the spirit to the altar. The altar creates 2 mana for us to then do it again, and the Scald untaps because that creature died. This will allow you to do infinite damage to your opponents and kill them with a War Chanter Scald. Our next combo features Halvar, God of Battle, but more specifically the back of Halvar, God of Battle, which is Sword of the Realms, a white and 1 other. For equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has vigilance, but whenever equipped creature dies, we're returning it to its owner's hand. Altar of Dementia, sacrifice a creature. Target player puts a number of cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power from the top of their library into their graveyard. So this one's a little bit harder to set up because we do need to rely on our opponents, because our opponents need to have at least 4 artifacts and enchantments on their battlefields collectively. Now, I haven't played many games of Commander where there aren't at least 4 artifacts and enchantments on the other side of the battlefield from me, so we're going to assume that that has been achieved as a prerequisite. We need Sword of the Realms on the battlefield, we need Altar of Dementia on the battlefield, and we need Dockside Extortionist in hand and able to cast it. So we need at least a mountain and some other mana on the battlefield so that we can cast Dockside Extortionist. So we're going to cast Dockside Extortionist, which is going to create, remember, 4 treasure tokens because we have 4 artifacts and or enchantments across the battlefield from us on our opponent's side. Then we sacrifice those 4 treasure tokens to create 1 red, 1 white, and 2 other. We're going to use 1 white and 1 other to equip Sword of the Realms to Dockside Extortionist. Then we sacrifice Dockside Extortionist to the Altar of Dementia. That's going to mill target player for 3 because Dockside Extortionist was 1 tough, 1 power, and the Sword of the Realms gave it +2/+0. The Dockside Extortionist, because of Sword of the Realms ability, is returned to our hand. We have 2 mana left over floating, remember, because we sacrificed 4 treasure tokens, a white and 1 other, a red and 1 other. And then we run it again. We have Dockside Extortionist enter the battlefield. That creates 4 treasure tokens. We use 2 of those to equip Sword of the Realms to Dockside Extortionist. We use 2 more after we sacrifice Dockside Extortionist. It's returned to our hand. We use the other 2 to recast Dockside Extortionist onto the battlefield. Rinse and repeat. There's been a lot of combos running around with Goldspan Dragon, so I wanted to cover at least one of them. This is going to give us an almost infinitely large Korvold, an almost infinite storm count, and infinite card draw. So if we can draw our entire deck, surely we can give this thing haste and be able to win the game right then and there. To achieve that large Korvold, the large storm count, and the card draw, it goes like this. We need Crown of Flames in hand, and we need Goldspan Dragon and Korvold on the battlefield with 1 red mana available. We cast Crown of Flames targeting Goldspan Dragon, so we tap this and Crown of Flame enters targeting Goldspan Dragon. Goldspan Dragon is going to trigger, which is going to create a treasure token. We sacrifice this treasure token for 2 red mana. Korvold triggers, it gets a +1/+1 counter it, and we draw a card, and we use 1 of those red mana to return the Crown of Flames to our hand, netting us 1 red mana left over, a card into our hand from Korvold, and Korvold grows by 1 counter. We then use that 1 red mana we had left over to cast Crown of Flames again, targeting Goldspan Dragon. That again creates a treasure token. We sacrifice the treasure token for 2 red, draw the card. Korvold triggers, +1/+1 counter, that draws us the card, and then we pay the 1 with Crown of Flames ability to return Crown of Flames to our hand, and we repeat it ad nauseum. With that, you're able to draw your whole deck and make an infinitely large Korvold. You can either kill somebody with commander damage if you've got something in your deck that's going to give it trample, which you're in green, so that should be easy to achieve. In addition to drawing your whole deck and winning somehow that way, you could also run a card like Aetherflux Reservoir so that when you draw it, you run this combo over and over again. You get an infinite storm count going, you're casting spells, you're gaining life. Aetherflux Reservoir lets you win that way. Aetherflux Reservoir is a really mainstay way to win with an infinite storm count. Next up, I found a fun way to go infinite with Maskwood Nexus. This combo is going to net us infinite red mana in addition to infinite life gain and death triggers. We're going to focus on the infinite red mana and use that as a win condition for us. To set this one up, we need all these permanents on the battlefield, and we need any additional creature on the battlefield. For us, we're going to use a spirit token because Kikar creates spirit tokens. We need these 3 permanents on the battlefield to get us going, though. Kikar, which says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 spirit creature token with flying, and you can sack a spirit to add 1 red mana. Bishop of Wings says whenever an angel enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 4 life, and whenever an angel you control dies, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. And Maskwood Nexus, which of course says creatures you control are every creature type, so they are spirits and angels, which is relevant for this. The same is true for creature cards you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. So with all of our creatures being spirits and angels, this is what we do. First, we sacrifice the creature that we have on the battlefield already to Kickar to create 1 red mana. Since it is a spirit and an angel, that is going to trigger the Bishop of Wings. Bishop of Wings is going to create a 1/1 white spirit creature token. It's every creature type though, so it's also an angel. Bishop of Wing triggers again when it enters the battlefield and gains us 4 life because it sees an angel because of Maskwood Nexus. This is just so silly. Maskwood Nexus is so great. Then we repeat it. We sacrifice the spirit to Kickar Wind's Fury. Bishop of Wings sees an angel leaving the battlefield and thus creates a 1/1 spirit token. When that spirit token comes into the battlefield, Bishop of Wings sees an angel as well. It enters the battlefield, we gain 4 life, and now we've net an additional red mana. When we have repeated this an infinite amount of times, we can cast something like Rolling Thunder, 2 red X. It deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or players. We have infinite damage divided among all of our opponents, and we win with our Maskwood Nexus seeing spirits, angels, and all sorts of shenanigans right then and there. This is a fun combo that involves Cold the Forge Master. We need all of these permanents on the battlefield. So we need Cold the Forge Master, which says whenever a non-token creature you control dies, if it was enchanted or equipped, return it to its owner's hand. Creature tokens you control that are enchanted or equipped get +1/+1. We don't care about that second ability so much as we care about the fact that if a non-token creature we control dies, if it was enchanted or equipped, we return it to its owner's hand. So we equip the Memnite with the Lightning Greaves. We've got a 0 cost 1/1 and our Lightning Greaves that are already on the battlefield with an equip of 0. Lightning Greaves equipped to the Memnite. Then we sacrifice the Memnite to Goblin Bombardment to deal 1 damage to anything. Maybe our opponents? Yeah, let's go with our opponents. Goblin Bombardment deals a damage to one of our opponents. Memnite returns to our hand because of Cold the Forge Master saying whenever a creature we control dies, if it was equipped, hello Lightning Greaves, we return it to their hand. And then since all this costs 0, we just do it again. We cast Memnite from our hand, we equip Lightning Greaves for free, we sacrifice Memnite to Goblin Bombardment to deal a damage to our opponent. Cold triggers, the Memnite comes back to our hand, we can recast it, and Goblin Bombardment our opponents into the dust. Those are some new combos for Commander that I have found exploring the Kaldheim cards and the internet. Let me know if there are any combos that you have found in this set. This set has allowed us to go crazy in Commander, especially with things like Maskwood Nexus, and I've had a lot of fun brewing. Hit that like button if you liked the video, hit that dislike button if you didn't, and other than that, I'll catch you later.
May all of your power be infinite.